police and revelation, it is DIG that is supposed to investigate all cases. But now the IG has created so many units under his office, investigating cases, and even the cases in the investigation, if you follow the media, you will see allegations of corruption directly under these units that the IG is heading. Yeah. So, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I think, yes, let me just summarize and come back to the issue. Mr. President, the IG said I deserted the force, which even that word, it shows that the IG has no knowledge of these police duties, because that word deserter is even meant for non-commissioned officers. That is from inspector downward. You cannot use deserter to AFP and above. So the IG lacks the knowledge of even the word he is using. And it's unfortunately for the IG. How can we have an IG who does not know even what the Police Service Commission is doing? Because of the mandate of the Police Service Commission. Because the Police Service Commission, they are meant to employ, they are meant to promote, they are meant to discipline, and they are meant to disengage somebody. So the IG, he doesn't even know the work of the Police Service Commission. And if you look at where the IG said my papers are forged. The IG has not even, I'm holding original of paper. You have not seen my paper. And that paper came from another organization. And you are declaring that paper forged without seeing it. I think he does not even have the understanding of process of investigation, because you cannot declare a paper that is issued by another organization forged even without seeing it. And after declaring that the paper is forged, 24 hours, he realized that he has made a mistake. And he sent the letter to Police Service Commission to verify whether my paper is forged or not. So this shows that the IG does not even know the meaning of the...
He said you're rounding up.
The IG, lastly, I want to bring to your notice that the IG has the habit of using blackmail to cover his atrocities. I can give you a few examples.
No, you are rounding up now. Just, I mean...
There is all these allegations raised here, an ad hoc committee to be, you said an ad hoc committee to investigate all these allegations, and I will provide all the documents and all the papers, because I have so many things, but because of time, so that Nigerians will be able to know what is happening. Thank you very much.
We are everywhere in the world, more than any other race. You know that. We are everywhere in the world. With anything they want, they'll give them because they want to continue looting. But our people are dying. We are the only people on this earth that suffered a pogrom, annihilation, a Holocaust. There is not one single foundation stone laid anywhere to remember those people. Not one. Not one.
Before Frederick Lugard came and created the monstrosity called Nigeria, I didn't know who this man was. My ancestors never knew him.
He came from somewhere overnight and said, from now onwards, your name is Nigeria. And we're looking at him. But of course, he came with whiskey, sugar, and chocolate. And what does he come with? He came with bicycle and mirror to confuse us. We said, oh my goodness, this Betule, where they are, maybe, who knows, with their bicycle, who knows, what they're saying is correct.
When the missionaries came, they told us that God sent them. And being very godly people, we believe them.
That God may have sent them, indeed. Same thing they said we should do, we did. Believing that God sent them. We didn't know it's just the palm oil, the palm kernel, the cocoa, and the oil they are taking. They said that God sent us from, there is a Monsignor of Catholic Church, that God sent them. So that type of nonsense will not wash with us anymore. I am not going to Britain to take over Kent. Oh, sorry. No, stay in your land. If you want oil, we'll dash you oil for free. We're not doing anything with it. But I was born a free person, and I intend to die a Biafran, a free person. It is either we get Biafra or I die fighting for Biafra. It is better for me that way. But a life of slavery in Ireland, a life of slavery in Britain, a life of slavery in Germany,
a life of abundance, stability, and hopelessness in America is not for me.
Mr. Director, sir, I have another question. My question is this. Your organization, is this all about leading people to death or actualizing the state of Biafra?
Without death, you cannot have life.
And seeing the political equation emerging in Nigeria at the moment, does your supposed coming Republic of Biafra include the Southern people?
There is nobody called South. You read geography. We are in geography. The cardinal points you have South before.
I mean, with the state of Nigeria, there's 6 geopolitical zones, and we have to face the fact that there's 6 geopolitical zones, and the minorities in the former eastern region have been pushed under the south.
Who is a minority?
The Jaws, the ethics.
Minority against who?
I'm saying, do they include?
No, I'm asking you, you're a journalist. Minority against who? I cannot be in my father's compound. You come and say I'm a minority. Minority, there has to be a definition. What we are looking at here is a definition drawn up by people who are alien to our way of life. I have said it before. I said it last night and I will repeat it. The word Jew is what is called a corrupted version of Judah. In Israel, Judah is only but one tribe.
But the name Judah took over everybody else.
Either by commission or omission. Do you believe I need to answer your questions. So you come to your question. We can say that tomorrow morning. We're not going anywhere. Jews took over. It doesn't mean that the other tribes are not there, like Benjamin and all the rest of them. They are still there. But the Jews took over. Nobody has been able to disprove.
People of Ejom, Efik, Bibion, and Igbo people are from one family. Nobody has disproved it. They are one people. All this minority report was brought by the British.
The British gave us a minority. Do you know the reason why? They wrote the minority report saying that the Calabars, the people in Akwa Ibom, if they go, what is going to happen to them? And when I was studying in England, many years ago, something occurred to me. Why did you not have a minority commission in the north? When you have the TV people, the Nupe people, the Gwari people, the Biron people, why no minority commission? Why minority commission here?
It is the classic divide and rule. They found oil. The only way to have access to your oil is to divide you.
Very simple. To come to your family and take something from you. I'll get you fighting with your brothers. You're fighting, I'll be cutting away what you have. So that was why they set up minority commission. There is a difference in emphasis because you see African people sometimes are a bit stupid. And I'll tell you why I think so we are very daft. A change or slight variation in language does not mean you're a different people. It doesn't mean that at all. In Israel, they have Yiddish. They have Hebrew. When Christ was on earth, he was not speaking Hebrew, he was speaking Aramaic. Does that mean he is not an Israeli? Does that mean that those that speak Yiddish are not Jewish people? Does it mean if you speak Hebrew, you don't belong? So why is it that when you speak Hebrew, you speak Ejom, you speak Efik, you're different? But in Israel, you have Hebrew, you have Yiddish, you have Aramaic, but they're still the same people. Do you see why I say I'm an educated man? I study to acquire knowledge. I just don't read to pass. I study to acquire knowledge. Why is it if you go to Nsukka, we can pay for your ticket, you go to Nsukka. If they speak Igbo, if you hear one word, anything you want, I'll give you. The Igbo language is out of this world, completely different. Do you know, I'm from Ibegu. My mother is from Ibegu, Musoro is my father. Our father, where I come from, our own accent and dialect is different from where my mother comes from. Does it mean we're in different countries? My dear brother, Ejom, the Izon people, people from Owerri, Arochukwu, and Nuri are the same brothers, the same father, but not the same mother. The same mother gave birth to 3 sons. One stayed at Nuri as the first son. One went to Owerri. One went to Arochukwu. If you come from that part of the world, including Calabar, you come from Arochukwu, God Africa will tell you. That's where they come from. Did they fall from heaven? How did they get to where they are today? There's something called DNA test I've asked you about to do. We can do a blood test, me and anybody from south. You will see that we come from the same family. From the same family, no difference. We are not the same with Yoruba people. They are different people. Neither are we with Bini people. We may have come down together, but they're not part of us. We may have come down with Igala. We may have come down with the people of what's their name? Benue State. I forgot. No, not Ibi. What is their name again? No, not. Well, Benue State. The names on my lips, I can't mention it. The people of Ijoma. They have a Oya for Nkwo as their market days. Is it a coincidence? We say this all the time. You know, Africans don't understand world politics. Anybody that wants one Nigeria wants a cover to steal money. But Buhari can come to you and say, my dear, that's your oil, I like it, so give it to me. I like this life I'm living. They will tell you they use the cover of one Nigeria to go and steal what doesn't belong to them. They can take the oil and say, I just want to be a free man, that's all. I'm not interested in oil, just to be free.
Director, sir, don't you think I still have to use my term, the southern people?
Southern people.
Southern people. Okay. You've explained it very well.
One day we'll have northern people. They'll be in the desert, in Sahara. Not northern.
Don't you think the Biafrans need their support to actualize the mandate?
We don't need their support. They are part of this family.
Have you been in agreement with them on your project?
It's just like my name is Kano, and somebody came and took away my younger ones and named them Ibrahim. Luckily for me, I went to Funtua and I found them there. And I said, but your name is Kano. We look alike, we are the same thing. He's saying, yes, I know I'm Kano, but my name is now Ibrahim. Convince me to be Kano again, not Ibrahim. Does it make any sense? No. I'll go and call Boko Haram to go and kill them. That these people they have lost their mind. Go and kill them. The reason I'm saying this is this: have you read the interview of the Akwa Ibom State Governor Gospel Akpabio? Have you read it?
On what?
On the issue of Biafra. Go and Google him, Gospel Akpabio, Biafra. You will see what he said about it. Is it a coincidence that, you know, we have Christian names, only one? They named me Kenneth, whatever that means. They call it Christian, they call it christening name when they pour water on your head to become the body of Christ. You see how the trick goes. They put water on your head, you are now a member of the body of Christ. By people who are uncircumcised.
All the children of God in the world are circumcised.
All of them, including Jesus himself. On the 8th day. On the 8th day, I was circumcised. And somebody who is uncircumcised is not telling me about God. Isn't that laughable? To tell you how important circumcision is, Abraham was commanded at the age of 91 to circumcise as a visible sign of his closeness to God. God demanded it. And somebody who is uncircumcised is not telling you, no, you should leave the Old Testament, go to the new one. There's something in the new one. And I keep saying to them, what is wrong with the old one? They keep saying, behold, all things has become new. I said, what happened to the old one? They can't answer. They are not the chosen people of God. We are. And because of that, they hate you. That is why they don't like you. Nothing more, nothing less. You are the physical manifestation of the presence of God on this earth. That's why they don't like you. My land is blessed. I don't know the village you come from, but mine is blessed. Please go ahead.
Sir, a caller from Norway posted a very pertinent question on support for good luck. And I want to ask, is diplomacy part of your policy? Bearing in mind that, a tree can never make a forest. And in the quest for actualization of your Biafran mandate, you need support, especially from your neighbors. Don't you think so?
Who are those neighbors? How can my brother be my neighbor?
Have they accepted that they are into to your brothers?
Yes, they have. Have you read the interview of Asari Dokubo? It is, can somebody open Radio Biafra website for him to read, please?
I've done that.
Thank you.
But he is one out of many. Considering what happened during the last civil war, the likes of Sarowiwa, the likes of Isaac Adakaboro, they played important roles towards Scotland the Biafran mandate. Don't you think that there's bound to be sabotage? And many Southerners are, if I should continue saying,
you can't say that because I happen to be somebody who is learned. You cannot use something that cannot be grammatically, that cannot be ideologically, grammatically justified. Who killed Adakaboro? The same thing. Hausa, Fulani people. So the record is there. When you go and you think you're having fun betraying your people, the same people will kill you. Everybody who is from the so-called South, not fathered by Hausa, Fulani people, mind you, they will tell you, Igbos, I think I asked it last night, Igbos are your problem. You know, that's what Yorubas have been feeding them, which is why we have Radio Biafra. Igbos are your problem. And we said to them, tell us one bad thing an Igbo man has done to you. Not one single soul can come out and say it. Not one. Talk less of 2 or 3.
So I still go on with my question. Your brothers who are the Ikweres, they are those from Abo, especially those living on the fringes of the old eastern region. Many are denying that they are Igbos. How are you going broadcasting to them or convincing them to be part of this project?
Yes. Do you know that, I'll answer that question, but do you also know that Peter denied Jesus? At the point of duress. He denied Jesus. He said he doesn't know him. So what is there surprising when somebody who is a part of my family is saying he's not a part of it? Because you must understand that the Hausas entered them first. After we started retreating from Ore, the so-called Nigerian troops started to attack us. Is that correct? And as we were retreating, they kept coming. They had time to fertilize the women. So most of the rubbish you're seeing now, saying that they are not Igbo, they are Hausa Fulani people, I'm sorry to say, but it's true. And as they were coming, they were brainwashing them. The people of Asaba said no. That was why they massacred them in Asaba. Major General Haruna today and Murtala Mohammed killed them because they said we are this. Somebody's answering Angureka. Angureka, where do you come from? I am from Delta. What is a delta? Delta is where water runs into the sea, where the river brings sediments from upstream, deposits it before it goes into the sea. Do you know that life is very funny? Do you know how mysterious life is? A river will carry sand all the way from Niger, all the way from Ivory Coast, or God knows where the source of the Niger comes from, and carry it but the ocean at last will not allow that sand to come in. Do you know that? Do you know? Yeah, they don't know. The ocean will not allow sand to come in.
That river must deposit all that nonsense it's carrying and come into the sea as clean, fresh water.
Uncontaminated. That is nature for you, teaching you lessons. So all those alluvial plains, all those plains of land left as a result of years and years and years of sandy deposits. People now living there, you call them the people of the Delta. I said this to them a while ago in London. The great river Mississippi has a delta. The great Nile River has a delta. Limpopo has a delta. So does the Niger. So does it mean that people of the Mississippi Delta and people of the Niger Delta are related? Yeah, they're all Delta people now. Delta. Is it not Delta?
Also all Delta Airline.
Maybe Delta Airline, they fly free on Delta Airline because they're from the Delta. It is arrant stupidity. Your name is Chinyere, that means you are Igbo. Simple as that. Not Kwa Igbo, not Ka Igbo, half Igbo and 3/4 Igbo. That is bunkum. Absolute nonsense. Even Frederick Lugard acknowledged Igbo and the Bibio. That's what he used to write. The Igbo and the Bibio people. The confidential documents of Frederick Lugard. Is it a coincidence that Ebele Azikiwe is there? It is not. And Azikiwe started and Azikiwe will end it. Do we have any other person? You continue with the questions. I'm here for the next God knows how many days. So we have time to have fun. I love your questions.
Do you want to tell us that Jonathan Goodluck, Ebele Azikiwe, as he has made us to call him now, is he in consonance with this plan of realizing Biafra?
Every genuine Biafran born of a woman is in support of Biafra.
Is Jonathan a Biafran?
Yes. Is he a Biafran?
Yeah.
His name is Ebele Azikiwe, you're still asking me. Is Jonathan an Ejo name? No, I'm asking. Is Jonathan an Ejo name? Or Goodluck an Ejo name? His name is Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan. Which of those names can we class as being African?
The two in between.
Ebele Azikiwe. Where did those people come from? I don't understand our people sometimes.
Many are saying that he chose the names as a matter of fact to carry Igbo vote during the last election.
Hey, Yoruba.
Sorry, so with all due respect, you're a journalist.
Yoruba, you're a journalist. You're a journalist.
I think it's important sometimes.
Where is your microphone? Don't speak out of turn, please, with the microphone.
I think it's important sometimes that we...
Is that on? What is going on, please? Turn it on, please. Go ahead.
With all due respect, Peter, and I respect your work, you're doing a good job in this. Oh, Saroka. Okay, can I have?
Oh, his name is Saroka, not Peter. Let's give him Peter now.
Okay.
He's hiding now from Peter. That's what to be Peter.
No. Okay. God one.
I like that.
Anyway,
nobody has to be baptized.
With all due respect, I think there are areas we can go, trying to retouch and re-ask, because I'm sure if you have been listening to this program for months on end now, I'm sure some of these questions you've asked have actually been asked by others earlier. The truth of the matter is there are those showing concern for the president by virtue of him being there, and how is he likely to be able to support a cause like this. But again, the director has just said it. If you're born of a woman in Biafra land, it doesn't matter what position you occupy. It doesn't matter where you reside as we speak. It is important for us to recognize that we are binded, or our bond is through our DNA, like he outlined earlier. And so it is not a question of choice. It is something that we will have to live with.
Simple.
When it is actualized, there are those who will play dual role. Don't get yourself confused there. By virtue of perhaps the position they occupy presently in the country we call Nigeria. So
it is a zoo.
Eventually, when our republic is realized.
So you want to tell us that...
give him a microphone, please. Give him a microphone. Take that microphone, please. Turn it on.
The world that...
it's not on. Turn the microphone on. Stop turning it off, please. Go ahead.
So do you want to tell us that President Goodluck Ebele Azikiwe Jonathan is part of this plot to actualize Biafra?
I don't. Again, you have to be careful here how you phrase certain questions, and perhaps even the answers you are expecting to get. It is not. There are certain things that have to lie underneath that must not be revealed, because its time will come. When that time comes, most things will crystallize. So I don't want to be diplomatic with answers, but in truth, it is important that you hold on to some things as well.
No, not just that. The Prime Minister of Austria, when Adolf Hitler ascended the throne, was a Jewish man. They asked him to come. He said no, that now they have risen to the status. I've asked people to go and watch this drama called Holocaust. No one has seen it. I think we, in all the Igbo groups, need to take it to their members with houses in Lagos and Abuja.
A drama.
Say it's a drama. It's called Holocaust. Go and watch it. You will see. A very wealthy family. It's a true story. Very wealthy. Fabulously wealthy. They said, look at Nazi. They're coming. They said, no. But I'm okay. I'm a doctor. I'm doing very well. The wife died. They killed him, killed the wife, killed all the children. Only the one that had common sense and ran away to Israel survived. It's a very big model. You know, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, there is something that God must have done to us. You know what God did to Pharaoh? You know Pharaoh? Do you know the man called Pharaoh in the Bible?
Yes.
How God said, I will harden his heart. Maybe God has done the same thing with most Igbo people and some Biafrans. Even if Boko Haram is coming and killing them, they are pricing the next shop near their own to expand their business. The height of stupidity. We must go on to take some calls as well. We have somebody on the coordinator's line on Skype. People are eager to speak. Give us your name and where you are. This is Radio Biafra. Yeah, good evening. Hello? You are not serious. If you are, you will speak when you hear my voice. We have said this before. Once we take your call, you turn your system down and you speak. Let's go and take this very call. We have a caller on the phone. This is Radio Biafra.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Nandi.
Good evening. Please turn your system down and you address us.
Oh, yeah. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now. Again, your name and where you're calling from, please. You see, we don't hear.
Okay, my system is down.
Is it down?
Hello?
Turn your system down. It's a very simple instruction. Turn your system down. Can you believe that?
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Hello?
Our people, some of them are very daft. Very daft. Give us your name and where you are. Turn your system down. This is Radio Biafra.
Hello, my honorable director. Good evening, director.
Good evening.
And also good evening to the people of Ireland. My name is Ozem and I'm calling from Germany. I just want to use the opportunity to tell the journalist. The director, I want to ask him one question, and I would like him to say it on microphone. Has he ever watched Biafran War in BBC?
No, he will say he's a journalist. He's duty to ask questions, not you to ask him. Because that's why he's a journalist and we are not.
Yeah. I just want to tell him, director, I've been calling in while the war was going on BBC about, in fact, director, God bless you. You are preaching. Your words are hitting them heavily. It's like Holy Ghost fire burning on them heavily. Director, just that time I was calling him, but you were busy explaining my brother who was asking you a question who want to find out so that he can write tomorrow to tell the Hausa or the Boko Haram that you are saying that Jonathan is in support of Biafra, in support of fighting for Biafra to kill and that is not what we are there for. Look at that time I was calling you, I wanted to tell him to call his wife to put on BBC and say the Biafran war going on BBC. First time in my life. Saying that on TV.
Thank you very much. We shall tell him to watch it. He will record it. He's a journalist.
Yeah, that's my case. Yeah, good night, director.
Thank you very much.
In Africa. The root of it is where we come from. We used to have a temple, a shrine, in Arochukwu. That was where the British attacked. When Arochukwu fell, they conquered our people. We have a spiritual place where we perform pilgrimage, where we go to pray. It's called Arochukwu, where we have our high priest, The same way we had in Jerusalem. We had the chief priest in charge of other people. But over time, they became corrupted, like the way things happen with humanity. Yes. They started to sell, they started slavery, they started to sell our people, and as a result, the white man came and took us away. They started it, and that was why God punished our people, because the chief priests of God were corrupt. That's where we come from. So we have a place of pilgrimage. Before the white man came, we used to go to a place to go and pray. Very, very African. No external influence. Mind you, we are the only people in Africa. I repeat, we are the only large body of people in Africa not to be conquered by anybody, and we never conquered anybody until the white man came. Islam never got there. The Songhai Empire never got there. The Kanem Borno Empire never got there. The Benin Kingdom never got there. The Yoruba expansionism never got there. We remained as the people. So our knowledge of God is untainted by any external influence. We knew God before the white man came.
That's same what the Ethiopian says sometimes, that they never been conquered. But I know that the civilization is always through the war that people get the strength of other people. But anyway, this is not my question. How do we explain the truth? What kind of values do you have in this religion, differently to others?
Truth. Truth is central to what we preach here in this religion called Biafra. Truth is critical because without truth, they won't exist. Because we believe that God created the world based on truth, based on science. Science is truth.
Not only truth.
Now, I will explain to you. The process of empiricism is predicated on the irreducibility of truth. In other words, water is H2O, hydrogen. As they will say in economics, if everything is equal, if you add 2 molecules of hydrogen with oxygen, you will always get water. If you do this experiment from now till the kingdom come, you will always get water, as long as all things being equal. Anytime you put 2 molecules of hydrogen and oxygen together, you get H2O, water to drink. Fact of life. Right? If you start fire now and place liquid in this cup, water, and put it on fire, this water will boil at a particular centigrade, which is 100 degrees centigrade. If you're in outer space, I think it comes to either 40 or 50 degrees centigrade, boiling point of water. That is an irreducible fact. You can't change it, or only if you alter the circumstance of your experimentation. The same way that truth is. Truth is irreducible. The truth of the matter is that you are here today, wearing glasses, dressed in this suit, and you are here. That is the truth. You came here today. Nobody can take that truth away, no matter how they try to bend it. That is what Biafra is based upon, truth. The same debate is now happening in the Vatican between the Africa representative, who is Cardinal Arinze, and the current Pope, because the current Pope Francis said that truth is relative, depending on how you see it. What may appear as truthful to you may not. No, we said no to that. Arinze said no. That truth is absolute. It doesn't change. Truth is truth and a lie is a lie. The man said to the Pope, if you remove truth from the teachings of Catholic religion, that means I shouldn't exist. Because the essence of we, Igbo people, Biafran people, is truth. Once you remove truth from us, we don't exist. And that was where Nigeria succeeded. Nigeria removed truth from them. That is why they are here. Because we now adopted lies as a way of life, and God took away His glory from us. That is why we are today suffering, because lies came in. Everything about Biafra is truth. Our ancestors used to say before we were born, what it means is that truth is life. From childhood, I tell you, truth is life. Is that right? Yes. Until you're old, and you tell your own children, truth is life. And they tell their children, and everybody is Yokubundu. The only people to survive on that. There was no police. to tell you what truth means where we come from. No police, no standing army, yet there was no war and no conquest. Because we believe that tells you that if you go back to the originality of it, any society that is predicated on truth.
Hello, and thank you for downloading Witness from the BBC World Service. In January 1914, Britain unilaterally created the modern state of Nigeria by uniting two British protectorates in West Africa, one in the Muslim north of Nigeria, one in the mainly Christian south. Using the BBC archive, Alex Last looks back at a defining moment in Nigerian history.
Many people like myself, who belong to an earlier generation of Nigerians, cannot help feeling somewhat overwhelmed by the prodigious changes which our country has undergone in just a little over half a century.
The voice of Ernest Ikoli, the late Nigerian nationalist and journalist who was born in 1893.
We should not forget that the Nigeria we see on the map today as one country was not always so. It was not a country, but a mere geographical expression.
When Ernest Ikoli was a child, Nigeria was being shaped by British imperial ambition. It had already led to the creation of a colony at Lagos and a British protectorate declared over much of what is now southern Nigeria. Then in 1900, a veteran of Britain's colonial wars, Sir Frederick Lugard, was sent to Nigeria to extend British control northwards to the Muslim Emirates which made up the vast Sokoto Caliphate, one of the largest pre-colonial African empires. In 1943, just a few years before his death, Lord Lugard himself was recorded in a rare interview with the BBC.
Mr. Joseph Chamberlain, when Colonial Secretary, decided that the British government should cancel the Niger Company's charter and assume direct control. I was appointed to this task as Governor of Northern Nigeria on January the 1st, 1900.
The basic issue was that Britain did not want France to get hold of this territory. It wanted to make sure it had it for itself.
John Smith is a former Nigerian colonial officer and writer.
Lugard, who was a soldier essentially and a child of empire, he was born in India after all, he was given the mission to actually try and subdue the north and make them subject to Britain as a protectorate.
I found that the greater part of the country was under Muslim rulers who annually raided the pagan tribes for slaves with armies of horsemen said to number several thousand. I sent a letter to Sultan of Sokoto, courteously worded, but insisting that this slave trade raiding must cease. He replied curtly that between us there was only war. I had at my disposal a small native force, which I had been instructed to raise in order to check French aggression. For at that time our relations with the French were very strained. The Muslims were defeated and the raiding was stopped.
A protectorate was declared over what is now northern Nigeria, but even under British colonial rule, north and south remained separate entities. With little infrastructure or transport, the two were worlds apart, as Ernest Ikoli remembered.
There were no railways, no roads, no motor cars, and of course no aeroplanes. To go from Lagos to Kano was like going to the end of the world. Perhaps many of you have heard of the story of the prosperous Lagos merchant who, in 1903, imported a motor car, but had to ship it back to England because there were no roads on which to run it. The well-to-do rode on bicycles, and the grandees went about in go-karts or rickshaws. In other parts of the country, people travelled about on foot along bush paths or in dugout canoes where there were rivers. British officials and other people of rank rode on hammocks. A district commissioner, making a tour of his district on his hammock, followed by a long line of men carrying boxes of food and household articles, including a tent perhaps, were a familiar sight on the countryside. In the northern region, horses were used instead of hammocks or other devices.
In the Northern Protectorate, there was also a huge difference in administration. When Lugard had defeated the Northern Emirates, he had a problem. He had very few men to impose British control, and Britain was not going to supply more. By this stage, London wanted empire on the cheap. So Lugard adopted an idea from British India and promoted the policy of indirect rule, using the existing traditional leaders to govern under British control. The structured political world of northern Nigeria's old emirates seemed to fit the bill.
He had a population of 7 million in an area of nearly 300,000 square miles, and the total British military and civil establishment in 1908 was 399. The only practical way you could run the country was through the existing institutions. It worked very well initially in the far north, and Lugard was excited about it, and it became the creed.
But some of the tribes are governed by autocratic rulers, aren't they? Isn't there a danger, Lord Lugard, that relying on government support they may abuse their power and tyrannize over their subjects who've no elected representation in a popular assembly?
Yes, that is a real danger. The parent state should for a time reserve the power to remove a ruler. Meantime, in dealing with advanced communities in Africa, such as the Muslim states in Nigeria, the advisor must keep a watchful eye on any such tendency to autocratic rule. He can do this through the district officers, who are in close touch with the villages.
I, as a young district officer going around, for example, was always accompanied by a representative of the emir, nice old gentleman, usually old enough to be my grandfather, who I was meant to do everything through. I spoke to the district head or the village head or the village meeting through him rather than directly. That was the theory. In practice, of course, it wasn't quite like that.
How was it?
Well, he was often an old gentleman who would frequently fall asleep.
But while promoting indirect rule in the north, the British government in London had, almost from the outset, considered uniting the northern and southern protectorates into one state.
The process of unification was completed by Sir Frederick Lugard on January 1st, 1914. The country, for the first time, became United Nigeria.
For Lugard, it was a challenge that he wanted to achieve. I think from the British government's point of view, I suspect that defiance of the French and making sure that a larger, bigger Nigeria would be able to stand out against Francophone Africa was one of the major considerations.
As a consequence of unification, transport was dramatically improved. Rail lines brought crops from the north to the south. Workers and traders from different ethnicities began to move and settle in parts of the country which had previously been off limits. But there was opposition too, not least in the southeast, where the British created chiefs where there had been none, so they could extend their policy of indirect rule through local leaders. But despite the unification, British colonial officials continued to rule the constituent parts as virtual separate territories. They barely even spoke to each other, as one colonial officer's wife recalled when she described her voyage on the ship out to Nigeria.
Officials going to northern Nigeria and those going to southern Nigeria looked upon each other with equal contempt, I think. We never spoke to each other. We always took it for granted that all southern officials were rather fat, rather flabby, that they started drinking at 6 o'clock, while we never started before 6:30. In the north we rode on horses. In the south it is said that some officials were carried in hammocks.
But the internal separation had serious consequences. The south remained exposed to Christianity and took to Western education, while the north remained independently Islamic. 100 years on from unification, the fault lines still remain, but Nigeria has stayed together, and now the country's sheer scale, its population of 150 million, has made Nigeria one of the most important nations in Africa.
The country which we all now proudly look up to as our common fatherland is a grand mosaic whose parts have been brought together bit by bit, and I hope will be preserved intact in the years that follow independence.
Ernest Ikoli ending that edition of Witness by Alex Last. For a complete range of downloads and our terms of use, go to bbcworldservice.com/
and protect Biafra.
ọsịsa ịgbara asị kama anyị na-ekwu na anyị chọrọ Biafra kacha ihe niile n'ụwa niile ibunye onye elu bunye anyị ala ihe anyị chọrọ bụ Biafra anyị chọrọ mkpụrụ onwe anyị chọrọ ụmụaka anyị ga-akwụkwọ akwụkwọ eweta ọrụ anyị chọrọ inwe obodo ụzọ anyị chọrọ inwe ndọta chọrọ n'ala Biafra ọ bụghị anyị gote akwụkwọ anyị agaba Lagos gaba Abuja ọ bụghị anyị gote akwụkwọ anyị dobe ka anyị si asụ ụgbọelu anyị ga-aga n'ọbụla ọ bụghị onye gote akwụkwọ ya ọka anyị gote anyị gote ụlọ anyị na-anya motosaịkụl Nwachukwu onye ga-esi ọbara arụ Nwachukwu okike abịa
Why are you still fighting the struggle to have independence for Biafra?
We are fighting for independence, not fighting physically with guns and bullets. We are fighting in terms of our agitation. We are fighting in terms of our belief. We're fighting in terms of our consistency to ensure that we are free. Because we're not free. As a free people, we can afford to make life better for our people. Right now, we can't do that because of how Nigeria is structured and because of the very flawed foundations upon which Nigeria rests.
You called for a referendum latest this year, November, you said, I think. Yes. If that doesn't happen, what's the way forward? Because the way it looks like the government will definitely not agree to that.
Then there'll be no elections in Biafra land. No more elections here. They can put whoever they like in office. They can do whatever they like with their political positions. We will not engage in any political process.
You said it's a peaceful struggle, but yes. There are some videos of you appearing in the past, especially abroad, in particular in one conference in the US, where you said you need weapons to defend yourself, you need guns and ammunition. How can we understand that in the context that you're saying it's a peaceful struggle?
I'm sure you've heard about the Fulani headsmen killing people all over the place. Have you heard about it?
Of course.
Exactly. So how do you intend to defend yourself against Fulani headsmen without guns and bullets? They've been killing our people, raping our women, destroying crops in the farms, and no one does anything about it. Is that how human beings are supposed to live?
So, and you have the right to arm yourself and defend yourself with arms in that context?
Self-defense is recognized even by all the known laws of the UN. Is that not correct? We have the right. If somebody were to barge into this very interview now wielding a machete or an AK-47, are you suggesting we should let them get away with it?
You were detained for almost 2 years, from 2015 on, and actually there was no trial. No trial ever happened, and despite several court rulings that said you were supposed to be released, you were not released.
Yes.
Do you think you were treated in a fair way by the government? Or rather also by the justice system?
No, not fairly, because Nigeria is not a civilized country. People behave like animals. They are not reasonable enough. They are not disciplined enough. They are not mentally developed enough to run a transparent civil society. For them, they have a feudal mindset where you have the ruling class and, a multitude of poverty-stricken people who never utters any word in rebellion or to even ask questions about their plight. That is one thing we are determined to challenge.
Don't you think you insult a lot of Nigerians with that?
I'm being very kind, to be honest. I could have used far more harsher words to describe them. I'm being very kind.
So generally, you don't think very positive of your countrymen then, obviously?
They are not... When you say positive, no, as individuals, perhaps there are a few good people amongst them. But as a collective, this is an absolute mess. And you can see for yourself. Didn't you go through the roads and see how horrible they are? Didn't you see how unkept everywhere is? How filthy and dirty everywhere is? That is the product of a Nigerian system that is uniquely backwards, even by the very third world standards of Black Africa. That's the fact, and people must face up to it.
Well, I traveled in the north quite extensively.